Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We got the real jam going down.
What is up, everyone? TCT here again, and welcome back to the It's Showtime podcast hosted by me, TCT. And today I actually have a good show for you. A trailer dropped over the weekend, and I kind of want to talk about it. Okay, many of you know I grew up in the 90s, okay? There was a superstar athlete in the 90s. Maybe you've heard of him. His name is Michael Jordan. He did a movie called Space Jam that every kid was obsessed with. You know, number 23 for the Toon Squad, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Tasmanian Devil, Lola Bunny, Tweety Bird, you know, all those, Sylvester, all those different types of Looney Tunes. We love the movie, but the real story of that movie was the Monstars. I mean, wow. The Monstars were just incredible villains. And that movie was just like Roger Rabbit. It was ahead of its time a little bit. And it was pretty solid, you know, for a kid's movie. Well, it's been many years in the making, okay? It's been many years in the making. At least a decade. Because I remember still being in high school when it was being talked about. Everybody was throwing around, LeBron should definitely do Space Jam 2. Everybody's like, nah. Well, I mean, I always said, like, look, I'm not the biggest LeBron James fan. I'm not. All right. I respect the fact that he is one of the best basketball players out there. I'm just like, I grew up with Jordan. That's just me. That's just me. I'm not going to take nothing away from LeBron. He is the best basketball player we got on the planet right now. I'm telling you. You know, I grew up Jordan and Kobe. Okay, those were my dudes. And kids this generation are like LeBron, Steph Curry, James Harden. Great. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a huge NBA follower right now. I follow other sports, but I'm not as big into NBA right now as I was when I was a kid. So, yeah, that's kind of a little pretentious to say, hey, you should be a fan of LeBron James. I don't need to be a fan of LeBron James to respect the guy. So when I heard, okay, LeBron should do Space Jam 2, I'm like, and this was literally my first reaction. My first reaction was, seriously, how many more comparisons to Michael Jordan do you need for this guy? I mean, he has the number 23. He goes to the NBA Finals all the time. He did a big 3 down in Miami. Jordan did that in Chicago. You know, I mean, he stars in movies. Jordan did a few. I mean, now, okay, you want him to do Space Jam? Really? There's just some things you don't touch, right? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I watched the trailer. And I saw last year when they released the uniforms and how roasted LeBron got for the new Toon Squad uniforms. Personally, the text is what threw it off. I don't mind the design of where the Looney Tunes symbol is, like on the side. I don't mind the color of the uniform. But where it says Toon Squad, it should have been anything other than blue. Like, personally, it should have just been a number there. Like, you could have done it with just a number there. It was weird. The letters made it look weird. If you take the letters off, the jersey looks fire. Like, it's fire. The last jersey was better because I like the fact that the logo was across the actual logo rather than it being on the side. That's just me. But do I think the jersey's bad? No, it's not bad. It's definitely not something I would wear unless there was if they had a white version, because I'm not a big fan of like that light turquoise type blue. I'm not a fan of that. Like if it was a dark blue with orange, or if it was personally, it should have been orange. The jersey should have been orange with a blue Looney Tunes symbol on the side. That way you can have the blue text. You can't put blue with blue. You just can't do it. I'm sorry. That's personally, that's the way I think it should have been. But who cares? I watched the trailer and I said, because my one I was praying for this to be good, because I absolutely love the first one. Who doesn't? Like, if you don't, then it's like, okay, well, that's fine. You're not a big fan of basketball or the Looney Tunes. I grew up watching the Looney Tunes. Hanna-Barbera was still ruling Cartoon Network before this new Teen Titans Go crap. I don't like Teen Titans Go. I grew up with Teen Titans, like the actual Teen Titans. Okay, not these little miniature versions of basically Family Guy Teen Titans. I'm not a big fan of this kind of cartoons that are on television today. From 2010 on, I do not like anything that's come out, like cartoon-wise. That's just me. But back in the day, like, Space Jam was a huge hit. I didn't get to see it in theaters because I was still very small, but my mom did buy it for me when it came out so that I could watch it at home, and man, I flipped, because she knows I'm a Jordan fan. My birthday that year was all Space Jam. I got the toys, had the plates, I had the party hats, everything. I'll never forget that. I told my mom I'm never going to forget this birthday, and I still haven't. She gave me a Michael Jordan statue figure, in which I don't have anymore because I broke the head off of it. I played with it so much that it was one of those old statue figures where you push the button. It came with a ball to connect to his hand, and it had a voice box on the back, and he was wearing his Toon Squad's uniform, and he pushed the button. He goes, "I really enjoy playing with you guys." And then you push the button again. He goes, "Let's play some basketball." That was it. That was all he said. He didn't say anything else. There was no other quotes. And I'm like, are you kidding me? But I had a big figure. It was bigger than a water bottle. Like, you look at toys now, it's like, no. This thing is the size of a ruler, like a foot ruler. Like, it was about that tall. It was huge. And you can look them up. Like, they were great toys. Like, then she bought me the space gun that what are they called? The Nerdlucks? The Nerdlucks, who become the Monstars. She bought me the space gun that the orange guy carried. I forgot his name, I can't remember all the names. I just know him as the Nerdlucks. But that gun, you put little rubber tennis balls in, or like ping pong balls. You put it inside, and it shoots them out. And you shoot them at people. I was like, that was basically Nerf doing stuff like that, but it was in the design that it was in the movie, and I was like, wow, this is a cool toy. It was a very cool toy. The balls glue in the dark, even like they glowed in the dark. So I was really impressed with what I got that year for my birthday, and that's just a thanks to my mom. But anyway, so when I saw that they were doing Space Jam: A New Legacy, I'm like, okay, is it going to have anything to do with the previous movie? And basically they said no. Basically, they said, all right, we're going to give you a new Space Jam movie, but it's not going to have anything or any relation to the original. And I'm like, okay, I guess that kind of works. I would have loved to have seen like a direct sequel, but who cares, right? People are complaining so much over a kid's movie. It's going to be a kid's movie. So basically, the draw for the previous Space Jam was, how do we get the adults in to watch it with the kids? Because you can make a kids movie. That's not the problem in making money. Kids will want to go see the movie. The key word is kids will want to go see the movie. But what makes you think their parents are going to want to sit through the movie? Like, there's plenty of movies I want to see when I was a kid, but my mom didn't want to sit through them, so I had to wait till they came out on DVD or VHS. So how do you get the parents to the movie? So basically, they came up with the concept, all right, let's take LeBron, have him get kidnapped by Don Cheadle's character. I don't know or care what his name is until I watch the movie. Have LeBron sucked into this TV portal, And basically, it's just the Warner Brothers portal. Like, people are like, oh, it's a TV world. No, it's Warner Brothers world. Because you got to remember, they can only use their content. So that's why you see Game of Thrones. That's why you see, that's all HBO stuff. DC. That's why you see, like, Batman and the Joker. You see The Mask. It's all DC content. You see Hanna-Barbera cartoons. You see the Mystery Machine. You see the Flintstones. You see the Iron Giant. It's all Warner Brothers content. Basically, it's like Ready Player One, which is actually pretty genius. Okay, how do we get the adults in there to watch it with the kids? Because especially now with the way movie theaters are now, Kong vs. Godzilla made a lot of money at the box office, even though it was released on HBO Max. People are just wanting to get back to the theater, in which I am really, really, really thinking about going to see this movie in the theater because it looks visually spectacular from what I saw in the trailer. Don't know how the story's going to be. Don't really care. That's not the reason I go for, things like this. I go to see movies like this to have a good time. This is a popcorn movie. It shouldn't be taken seriously. But there's always going to be these fans or critics, like Nostalgia Critic, or there's going to be like Angry Joe. That's going to be like, because I watched Angry Joe's reaction. I'm like, you guys suck. Because they do. They suck. Those guys are like that's the most hateful YouTube channel on the planet. Like, they hate everything. I mean, I don't know how they get dressed in the morning and come to work being like, oh, I hate this. What am I going to hate on today? Yeah, it's Angry Joe for a reason. Like, big whoop. But I don't like the fact that it's a kid's movie. It's a popcorn movie that's going to try to draw some adults in. And you're going to be sitting there like, I don't like it. It looks cheap. It looks fake. I mean, oh my God, it's a basketball star getting sucked into a TV portal to play basketball with the Looney Tunes. Of course it's fake. That's not the point of the movie. The point of the movie is to go with your children and have a laugh and have a good time and do like my parents did and have a birthday party with all decked out Space Jam stuff. That way you can remember it as a childhood moment. That's exactly what I had. I had a childhood moment. I had a Space Jam birthday because the first one was such a big hit. What kind of kids are going to have Space Jam birthdays now because this one's going to be a hit? I have a feeling this is going to be a hit. I could be wrong, but I mean, just the fact that look at who's in the crowd watching this game in the trailer, man. Like, you see everybody that Warner Brothers owns. You see Jack Nicholson's Joker, and people are like, where do you see that? Like, you have to pause on the crowd scenes at the end when they're playing the basketball game and just look at who's in the crowd. Jack Nicholson's Joker. I saw Jim Carrey's Mask. I saw Pennywise. I saw Scooby-Doo and the gang up on top of the hill next to the Mystery Machine, and Fred and Daphne are like cheering, and Scooby and Shaggy are on top of the thing. Like, I pause during things like that so that I can see what I'm missing here, especially when it's all nostalgic. The Flintstones parked right next to him. Fred and Dino sitting next to each other, Pebbles and Bam Bam and Wilma, all those guys, all those characters. I even think I saw the Jetsons in the sky. The Iron Giant's there watching the game. I mean, I saw a version of Batman. I even saw Drogo from Game of Thrones. I saw Drogon. I mean, we see Drogon flying next to the Iron Giant in that shot. Like, when the Iron Giant's running, look beside him at the dragon. That's Drogon from Game of Thrones. So, yeah, like... And then I think you see some Dothraki, you see some White Walkers in the crowd. Like, you see a whole bunch of stuff. You see things from The Wizard of Oz. That's a Warner Brothers property. That's a Warner Brothers product from MGM. Like, they bought it from MGM. People don't know that. Like, MGM owned a lot of that stuff, and now it's Warner Brothers property. So, yeah, like, I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this. Like I said, I'm not going to take it seriously. I didn't take Kong vs. Godzilla seriously. I had a good time watching it, but I'm looking online and people are like, that movie is trash. The only thing good about it was the fights. The story sucked. And it's like, all right. Let me counteract your argument. If the story was good, what's going to be your argument? And sit there and think about it. If the story's good, what's going to be their complaint? The action sucked. Okay, why did you go see Godzilla vs. Kong? I know it's not to see the human story. 9 out of 10 of you are going to be like, are you kidding me? We went to see Godzilla fight Kong. That's the best part of the movie, and it's always going to be the best part of the movie, the fight scenes. That's the reason you go. That's why I went to Freddy vs. Jason. That story was trash, but the fight was incredible. That's why you go. Look at Alien vs. Predator. Alien vs. Predator, that story's trash. But I love watching them fight. I love them in the underground caverns fighting each other, trying to get to the humans. That was cool. It was cool to see. That's why you go watch a popcorn movie. You don't go to judge a story. The story is there in a popcorn movie to keep the movie together so that it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Okay, when it promotes itself as a popcorn movie, in which this movie is doing, that's what you go for. You don't go to, okay, Don Cheadle kidnapping LeBron's son. That doesn't make a lick of sense. It's not supposed to. It's not supposed to. So stop complaining. Like I hear so many people complaining about the trailer, and then I see people talking about exactly what I'm talking about. Loving the trailer. I'm like, yeah, it looks like a fun popcorn movie. If this thing was in 3D, I'd be all over it. I mean, I wish it was in IMAX 3D, for real. Like, I miss the 3D movies so much. Like, my IMAX quit showing 3D movies, and I hate that because I love being immersed in those films. Like, the best 3D movie I ever seen in my life was Jurassic World. And even though that movie is somewhat mixed to me, I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. Popcorn movie, spectacular that is. The 3D was incredible. I saw that in IMAX with my cousin. The 3D was incredible. Like, it was right in front of you, almost in your lap kind of 3D. Like, Avatar is 3D. I never got to see Avatar in 3D in the theater. I saw it in 2D, but I never saw it in 3D, which is why I can't wait for James Cameron's sequel to come out. I am definitely, if they put that in 3D, I am definitely 100% in the front row. Maybe not in the front row, but in the middle at least. Like the middle front row so that I can get a good seat. You know, because I have been waiting for that sequel since 2009. I think everybody has. Like, you're talking about a movie that has lost to Avengers and has now overtaken Avengers Endgame as still the number one highest grossing movie of all time. And everybody's like, well, how is that fair? It was like, because they released it again in other parts of the world during the pandemic. And every time someone goes sees a movie in the box office, guess what? It gets added to the box office total. Avengers Endgame was a hit, but that's because it's like a one-hit wonder. It's the conclusion of a huge phase of Marvel. It's the conclusion of a story before they enter their new phase. You know, it's the conclusion of like their phases that they were going through of the original Avengers. Now, this new phase is going to introduce a whole new set of characters. That's why the movie made a lot of money, is so people could see what happened, how people came back, how they defeated Thanos, who died, who made it out alive. And people watch that now because of Disney Plus. They watch Avatar because of Disney Plus, but you can't feel a movie unless you're in the theater because it's so immersive. Like, here's a prime example, okay? My grandmother is 74 years old, all right? She hadn't been to a movie since she took me to see Spy Kids in 3D, or a movie with me. I think she might have went and saw a Twilight movie way back in the day, like probably the first one. I don't know. But she hadn't been to a movie and had to have been, 10, 12 years? Long time, right? She has no idea how much they've changed. So she is an absolute fan of Jason Momoa since Game of Thrones. She loves Game of Thrones, right? And when I told her Jason Momoa was going to play Aquaman, she didn't believe me. So her birthday, which is a week before Christmas, or 10 days before Christmas, rather. That's when Aquaman came out, was that week. And I'm like, hey, when's the last time you went to a movie? She's like, I can't go to no movie. I'm like, well, this movie, because she she's got a walker, she doesn't want to go into the theater. And I'm like, well, movie theaters now have handicap seats. Like, she didn't know that. Like, they've had handicap seats before, but never ones like this nice. Because we go to Alamo, right? Alamo has great seating. It has a table there that you can put your stuff. It has, like, good food. They have very comfortable recliners. So I told the lady, I said, I got us on the end so she could put her walker out of the way. The lady's like, that is totally fine, because I got us on the bottom to where no one's going to have to walk next to her walker, and that she doesn't have to go up any stairs. And she's like, that's totally fine. I said, good. And this is a great story, right? So we're in there, and they get ready to start up. If you guys have never been to the Alamo Draft House, we're in there, and they get ready to start up these video vignettes, basically, of what you're about to watch. So if you're watching Aquaman, they show you everything that's ever been done Aquaman. Cartoons, comic books, old movies, funny TV shows, like silly things, silly YouTube videos. Alamo's great with that. Like, you go to Regal, you get the what's coming out soon stuff. But if you go to Alamo, you get a history of the character you're about to watch. So when I went and saw Black Panther, they had never done anything Black Panther except a couple cartoons. So they were talking about the comic books. They were talking about some video games, some games, like, things that had the Black Panther all over it. When you go see Spider-Man, they show you videos of how they made the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, and videos of how big it was when Andrew Garfield's came out. And then when he got put back in Civil War, they show you videos of Tom Holland on set. And they're showing you all this kind of stuff right before the movie starts, so that anybody who's in the theater that has no idea who these characters are will know somewhat of what they're about to watch. That is genius. Like, it's really genius for Alamo, and it makes you want to come back to Alamo. So it's like, hey, I'm getting a good history lesson about the character I'm about to watch. So they were showing some Aquaman stuff. She's like, is this what we're coming to see? I'm like, no. Well, I said, we're coming to see Jason Momoa. She's like, well, this isn't Jason Momoa. And I'm like, no, these are all the other Aquamans that have been on television. And she's like, oh, so they're telling you about the character. And I go, yes. So she's learned. She had no idea about anything Aquaman. She's like, so I didn't know Aquaman could talk to fish. And I'm like, yeah, he's Neptune's son, basically. It's kind of what it is. It's not necessarily the way they went in the movies or the story, but he's like the son of Neptune. He can speak to sea creatures. And she's like, what, is he that useless? Because he was one of the most made fun of she had no idea about that. She's like, oh, they're not going to make fun of Momoa, are they? He was one of the most made fun of superheroes ever. And I'm like, no, they're not going to make fun of Jason Momoa. Like, there's a reason they chose Jason Momoa to play this guy. So we're sitting in there, and all of a sudden the movie gets ready to start, and it starts blasting. We're watching it with Dolby sound, and she's covering her ears. And I'm like, are you all right? She's like, it is so loud in here. Tell them to turn it down. I'm like, you can't tell them to turn it down. Give me some earplugs. So I order us 2 Philly cheesesteaks, which were great, by the way, and she had no idea that they were bringing us food. And she's like, what's this? I said, I ordered us some food. She's like, oh my God, they got Philly steaks here? She loved that place. So we had a good time. We watched the movie, and she's like, thank you. I really enjoyed that. That's what you go to a movie for. That is what you go to a movie for. Now imagine people that want to do that and go see Space Jam Legacy. Imagine that now. I go to a movie for that experience, especially when I take somebody. I don't go to a movie to really care about what's going on in the film unless it's something I truly want to see, in which I do want to see this, because I've been waiting for years for them to make a sequel to Space Jam. And everybody knew it was going to be with LeBron. Everybody knew. There was no way they were going to make it without LeBron James attached to the hip because he's the biggest NBA superstar since Michael Jordan. And we have no idea who's going to be the biggest star after LeBron. You know, Kobe was big, but he's not LeBron James big. He's just cult big. LeBron James is like a mega superstar. Like, he's just everywhere. Like, I've heard the term everywhere star. That's what Michael Jordan was. He was an everywhere star. Like, you have your Larry Birds, you have your Patrick Ewings, you have your Charles Barkleys, you have your Muggsy Bogues. I mean, you have your Larry Johnsons, your Magic Johnsons, you have your James Hardens, your Kevin Durant's, your Steph Curry's, you know, superstars, all superstars. But are they megastars? No, Kobe was a megastar, okay? But he wasn't an everywhere star. There was only two of them. An everywhere star was Michael Jordan, and now LeBron. LeBron is everywhere. Everything that man does is in the news. Everything. LeBron signing with the Miami Heat. Oh, he's going down there with Dwayne Wade, who's a superstar. Not a megastar, but he's a superstar. Like, he might be a megastar now, considering he's a legend. You know, he's one of my favorite players of all time. But there is an everywhere star in LeBron James. That's why he was chosen for the role. And people were complaining, just don't understand that. It's like, look, like I said, I'm not the biggest LeBron James fan. Okay, I'm like, I respect the guy. I love watching him play. You know, it's just, I'm not a fan of his. It's just the way it is. You know, when he plays against other teams and I sit there and watch them, I'm like, good, LeBron's having a good night. At least I'm watching. I know I'm watching greatness. I know I'm watching greatness. Doesn't mean he's my favorite player. You know, my favorite player of all time is still Jordan. It's going to be Jordan. So, yeah, just think about that. All right, just think about that. I was in high school when LeBron James started. I grew up with Jordan. So, remember, guys, Space Jam: A New Legacy coming out. I'm excited for it. I'm going to try to get you a movie review on it. So, remember to like this podcast, subscribe to the channel, favorite, and as always, this is TCT signing off. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you again next time. I'll talk to you guys next time about different things. Bye-bye.